This is going to be a hopefully fairly brief track guide, as brief as possible at least. Track guide for the Aston Martin Vantage GT4 on the Nurburgring combined. I'm not going to even try and pronounce that, but it's a 24-hour layout. So this is the layout that's going to be used for the Nurburgring 24-hour, not to be confused with the VLN layout that is used for NEC or the Nurburgring Endurance Championship. Those two are very similar. They just use different parts of the Grand Prix circuit. But this is going to be to just try and help people safely make it around the track. I by no means think that I'm lightning fast or anything. Um, but yeah, this lap's just shy of 9 minutes. I didn't apply any of the balance of power that there currently is, so you could probably subtract a couple seconds from that lap time. So just consider it being like a 9 second lap, and I think the track tip was 83. So just stuff to keep in mind for this. I'm just going to try and walk through braking markers and gears for turns. Without further ado, I'm going to be headed down here into turn one. This is the turn one of the GP circuit as well. So I'm into sixth gear here. What I'm looking for, braking marker, is this 150 signboard. When I reference a braking marker, it's usually where I anticipate the front of the car passing it, maybe when it's passing like the A pillar here. Obviously, everybody's field of view is a little bit different, so your results may vary. You do not use first gear in this car at any point. I think second gear is the lowest I will go, and you use second gear here in turn one. You want to try and there's that cone to the inside um, that you want to try and I'm going to try not to do this all that much. There's a cone here you can use as a site marker. You want to try and get a jump across this curb as much as possible. Be as far right on exit as possible because you're going to do a quick flick back to the left. Get close to the inside there and then power out. I think we're going to be up to fifth gear here. These 5 cones on the right side are a good reference. I think I'm more so at the end of the cones. Yep. Go down to 4th gear. Stay to the left here, or get to the left as close as you can. 3rd gear. Then you're going to go down to another hairpin. Braking marker here is going to be where this little section of grass ends, or where the little cutout begins. 3rd gear, you got to be really patient getting back on the throttle for it to just not push out wide. Here you can take it flat out. I'm going to go up to 5th gear here. You can take this flat out, but to be safe, a quick little lift is a good idea. Use all the curbs. Sorry, I want to make sure I knew where my braking marker was because it's a little bit different than the marker you would use for NEC because you're coming off with not as much of a run up to this turn on the NEC layout. So kind of where this access road cuts in before the 100 board is where I'm going to brake. I'm going to go down to 4th gear. I'm going to try and get my lefts onto this, I'm going to call it candy cane curbing to the inside, maybe even on that green. Get to the left, leave it in 4th gear, accelerate out. I'm going to fast forward a little bit, flat out here. I leave it in 5th gear here. You're going to feel like you want to go up to 6th gear, but I do not use 6th gear, just 5th gear. I'm braking at the 50 signboard here. I'm going to drop it 1 gear, I believe, to 4th. And I'm going to stay, I would say, a little bit right of center, but not all the way to the right. Braking marker, you don't really have a, hey, this is my brake marker, but somewhere in this area here where I'm hovering over with the mouse, I'm going to go down to third gear, try and get to the curb on the inside, but don't touch the curb. I'll pause here really quick as we're headed onto the Nordschleife layout. Something that's pretty important here is to stay off of the curbs as much as possible. They are really tall and have some really harsh angles on them. If you hit one wrong or you hit it too hard, I guess it could break some suspension or cause some like under damage. But what it really is going to do is it's just going to push you really wide and make the car understeer, which can be death at any point at this track. Anyways, so staying in third gear here. I don't think I go up to fourth. I'm going to be braking pretty much right as I pass the end of the wall here, or after this red. Stay in third gear. Exit out wide. I might end up in fifth gear here. Ultimately, this is all flat out. So fifth gear here. This bend here specifically, if you're super comfortable, you could probably take it flat out. I lift a little bit here. I don't think you need to brake. But leaving it in fifth gear, I do a quick lift and then back in the power, flat out through here. All right, here's going to be one of your first major braking sections on the Nordschleife layout. So my marker I use is kind of where the end of this graffiti stuff is on the track surface. If you wait until you get to that rumble strip up there, you are way too late. But I'm going to go down to fourth gear here. This is one of the curbs that you absolutely do not want to hit. I've seen a lot of people hit this curb and push left right into this freaking wall, and yeah, it's bad because you're carrying so much speed. If you carry way too much speed into there, the results are gonna be bad. So try and avoid that curb at all costs. Leave it in fourth gear. Fourth gear all through here. You can see I'm kind of feathering the throttle a little bit, but I'm leaving it in fourth gear all through here. All right, you gotta get to the left here. Again, fourth gear. Braking marker is another turn where you don't have a 100%. Well, I guess you can kind of look here on the pavement where this graffiti. I mean, there's graffiti there the whole time, so maybe kind of where this is where it's ending. Somewhere in there though. This curb you can actually kind of get up on, get onto this little like meshy looking stuff on the inside. It may be better to avoid it. I'm 50-50 on whether I use it or not, but it's not deadly, so to speak. Just gotta be careful on exit here, as you're going over a crest, so you can't really see this apex, but you don't want to be too far to the left here. They'll be obviously off track. Probably not a risk of like anything really tragic happening. I think it does give you a slowdown, but this at the end of this rumble strip, if you touch this dirt here, it is an off track. That's a pretty common one. Flat out through here, up to fifth gear, headed to this hill. As I'm going over here, this hill, I'm staying flat out. I'm going to start my turn in a little bit before this rumble strip here on the right. I lift. It's pretty brief. Quick lift. I had a little bit of brake in there, and then I just power out, carry a lot of speed. You're going to go up to sixth gear here. Next marker I'm looking at for this turn. Now, this is a very high speed turn. This is one of the places you're going to be using sixth gear. There's, I think, only three on the whole track. Front straightaway here, and then the really long straightaway that goes up the hill towards the end of the circuit. But this 5 kilometer board on the right, it's a pretty easy marker. Also, the pavement changes colors here. I do a little bit of light braking and completely off the throttle. Let it coast through the bend. Then I'll get back into the throttle a little bit here. And then where the pavement changes color again here, and I guess it's also where this rumble strip is ending on the left. Pretty heavy braking, just obviously straight line. Gonna go down to third gear. This is like the perfect example. You can see how harsh this curb is. It is angled probably like 30 degrees like this. So if you hit it, it's just going to launch your car to the left and push you wide. So that's why you really want to try and avoid it at all costs. Power out. I lied. You do go to sixth gear here as well. This is all flat out through here. Flat out, flat out, flat out, flat out. All right. Then when you're making it to this point, as you start climbing up the hill, I would say right around here where I'm pointing the mouse, kind of between where the graffiti here started and where this signboard is where I'm going to brake. I'm going to drop it 1 gear down to fifth. There's a curb to the inside here. It's pretty safe to cut across. If you want to play it a little bit safer, don't do that. I gave it a little squirt of throttle there, but then I'm braking again. Down to fourth. I'm going to go down to third here. I'm kind of headed in this direction as I'm crossing this, I'll call it like the pedestrian crosswalk, I guess. Let's go with that. But third gear, a little bit after that, you're going to do a turn in, another curb that you want to absolutely avoid on the inside, but you want to get as far left as possible because it's going to help you carry speed through the turn after this one. A lot of this track is positioning your car for the next turn, not necessarily the turn you're in currently. Third gear, though, kind of breathe into throttle there, exit out wide. Going to be flat out through here. We're going to go up to fifth gear. Flat out, flat out, flat out, flat out, flat out, flat out. All right. So we're going to be flat out all the way up until this change in the pavement here where this little patch ends. I think I do a little bit of light braking and then just completely out of the throttle. All right. Still in fifth gear. So now this is another turn where you just don't really have a great sight. Now I'm got it paused. I see that you kind of have this like drainage, and then it goes to like this different kind of patterned dirt or whatever. I guess that's kind of a good point. Like right around here, is a good brake marker, and then just go down to fourth gear. Avoid the curb to the inside here. So on the left side, and then when you make it around this bend, there's a curb on the right side that you want to avoid. All right, so here's where we're going to get into some of the turns that can kill you. So as you're passing, you have this 8 kilometer board, and you have another German word I'm not going to try and bother with. Kind of as you're passing those boards, before you get to this rumble strip on the right, I'm gonna leave it in fourth gear here. You can drop it to third. I think fourth ultimately ends up being the better gear overall. Avoid the curbing to the inside. It's going to push you wide on exit. This is a turn where it's really easy to push wide on exit, and there's a wall pretty close to the edge of the track that you just want to avoid. Obviously, be more cautious until you get more comfortable with it. I mean, that's kind of clear. But maybe brake a little bit before this, and then just be more patient getting back into the throttle until you've run more and more laps and get more and more comfortable with it. Exit out wide. I'm going to go up to fifth gear here. I've seen tutorials that have you go flat out through this little complex. I lift a little bit, but fifth gear nonetheless. I hit that curb a lot. Like, I want to try and avoid this curb. I actually kind of hit it pretty hard, and it can be dangerous if you do that. Try and avoid it. You can see how it launches my car. But my marker here, I'm going to leave it in fifth gear. This turn is deceivingly fast. Braking marker being start of the candy cane rumble strip over here, or where this drainage section ends and it goes to all grass. Get to the inside, get your right side to this curbing here, and you can see I'm already pretty much at full throttle, throttling out of this turn. This is an obscure brake marker I have, and this isn't a definitive one. It wasn't until I ran enough laps that I kind of picked up on this, and I don't know if it changes with lighting and whatnot, so your results may vary, and you may need to find another one. You could also use this little sign here a little bit after you pass it. But my marker I use is this little random lighter patch of dirt. It's all darker here, and then on the other side of it's grass and darker again. There's just a random light patch. That's the marker I use. I guess the fence is kind of, you're not going to be able to catch that, but I'm going to go down. I'm going to start braking there, go down to fourth gear, down to third. This is another one. You don't want to turn in too early to the curbing here because it's kind of a double apex and you need to be as left as possible. You don't want to clip the curb on the inside and push wide because it's going to really mess up your exit for the turn after this one. But down to third and then flat out. Going to go up to fourth. I'm going to rewind it and watch it from like a third person view so you can maybe see a little better what I'm talking about. So you can see how it's kind of like a double apex almost. Like you'll apex here and then you'll apex again like here. So you don't want to just follow that curve the whole time. But flat out, start of this rumble strip. Or I guess where this white line goes to angle off. It's going to be a brake marker. Actually, you know what? I lied. Ignore what I just said. You're flat out through here until you get to the other side. And it's actually the end of this rumble strip here. Maybe a little bit before it. You're going to go down to fourth gear. You're going to want to go, like, you're going to feel like you want to go down to third. But using fourth and exiting out wider helps you just carry your speed better. You got to exit out to the curb here on the right. I ran a little bit wider than I wanted to there, but then you need to immediately get back to the left here. A little bit before the end of this rumble strip, you could probably wait until the end of it, but leave it in fourth gear here. A little bit of braking. Get to the curbing on the inside, but don't touch it. You're going uphill here. But you can, I'm already full throttle here and exiting out. There's no issues with traction, or at least I don't have any. Exit out wide. This section's flat out, fifth gear. Flat out, flat out. All right, this turn is one of the turns that will sneak up on you and will absolutely murder you if you do not know it's coming. Those two right-handers that were a little bit before this one are two of the other ones. This is one as well. My braking marker I use is the black Yokohama sign here. I'm going to go down, I think, fourth gear here. I've also used third gear. This turn's important because a good exit is giving you a long run down what I would call the back straightaway. So, but you got to play it safe. You absolutely do not want to forget this turn because if you blow your braking marker, you're going to hit that outside wall and it's going to be massive damage. And you know what? I said that Yokohama sign. I'm actually braking a bit before that. Um, call it like here-ish. But that's what I look for. I know once I'm about to hit that, I need to be braking. Pretty heavy braking, fourth gear. Avoid. This curb's another tricky one because it's kind of a double apex. Oh, wrong button. It has a couple different like kinks in it. So you're gonna kind of apex here, push out a little bit wider to like mid track, and then apex again. And then exit out wide, carrying all your speed. I leave it in fifth gear for this entire section. You're gonna see shift lights flashing and whatnot, but really once you hit 138 miles an hour, you will not gain any more speed. You'll actually start losing speed as you start going up the hill. So just leave it in fifth gear. If you had a ton of draft or something, you might use sixth gear. This is going to be your one sketchy part on this straightaway. It's a quick break and lift. I can tell you I died in an NEC race here because I tried to carry too much speed here and I ran wide on exit and got stuck in the wall and just kind of rode the wall for hundreds of feet and it broke suspension and whatnot. So my marker I use is this patch of asphalt. Experiment with it. When I'm more comfortable, I'm probably closer to the end of it, but probably halfway is a good safe place. Light brake, completely out of the throttle. Avoid the curb to the inside. That will push you wide and you're going to hit that wall. And then you're going to exit out wide. I do a quick little lift as I'm like hitting the start of this rumble strip, or like a light lift. You might be able to carry it flat out through here, but it's better safe than sorry. And then a little bit before you hit this rumble strip here on the left is where I brake. So call it like where this yellow graffiti is. I'm going to go down to third gear for this turn, avoiding curbs to the left, and then also getting your line right so that you don't hit the curb on the inside of the right-hander coming up. Exit out. I'm going to go up to fourth gear here. This is going to be like one of the more historic turns. It's the carousel. I'm going to end up dropping to third gear here. You absolutely need to stay to the inside of this turn. If you miss the banked part of it and run the flatter part at the top, you're going to lose probably a couple seconds, truthfully. And I think if you kind of teeter on that transition, you have a chance of damaging your undercarriage, which you do not want to do. As you're headed over this crest, it's kind of blind, but right on the other side of this is the carousel. As I'm getting towards the top of that crest, though, is where I'm going to brake pretty hard and go down to third gear. And just kind of play with the throttle here, exit out, go up to fourth gear, go up to fifth gear here. This is all flat out, flat out, flat out, flat out, flat out. Avoid that curb, flat out, flat out. All right, start of this rumble strip on the right-hand side. Do a little bit of braking out of the throttle. I think you can carry fifth gear through at least the left-hander, but I go down to fourth. Fourth gear, kind of playing with the throttle here. Get to the left. Don't jump over this curbing if possible. You don't have a great brake marker, but kind of as you're getting to the top of this crest, you just need to brake. Leaving it in fourth gear. Exit out wide. Flat out, flat out. A little bit of a lift. Now I'm in fifth gear. I've bounced between fifth gear and fourth gear through this section. But you're going to want to stay to the inside, kind of left, right along this curbing here. you can get your left-hand tires all the way up onto this like meshy curbing here. You can see I went down to fourth, and then I get my right sides going across the meshy part. Again, you can play it safer and just keep it to the rumble strip sections. Then get to the left, staying in fourth gear here. If you were carrying fifth through there, you want to be in fourth at this point. Braking at the end of the rumble strip here. Avoid that curb to the inside, but again, just staying in fourth, kind of feathering the throttle in and out. But you want to be pretty far to the right here. You don't want to run too far to the left. I've seen people dip tires into the grass here, and then it hooks it into this outside wall. Or if you're exiting carrying too much speed and you just get a terrible exit and you're like still trying to get to the right here, you're just going to screw up your next turn. But kind of where this graffiti's ending, I guess a little bit before this Yokohama sign. Staying in fourth gear, kind of a double apex, just kind of letting it roll through the corner but leaving it in fourth gear. After this red and white rumble strip, there's kind of that meshy stuff. You can kind of get up onto that on exit. And then braking again, staying on fourth gear, avoid the curb to the inside. Now I hit it there, and you can see how it pushed my car wide. Ideally, I wouldn't have hit it, and I could have carried more speed. But you can exit out onto the meshy section here. Still staying in fourth gear. You're carrying fourth gear through the majority of this. Braking pretty much at the end of this rumble strip as it's disappearing from my view. Staying in fourth gear, avoid the curb. If you happen to hit that curb, this happens often. It's going to push you into this dirt. You're going to potentially hit that wall on the left. It happens. And then kind of the final turn of what I'll call this section. This is a very technical section and probably one I struggle with the most. Right about here where you start going back up the hill, it kind of looks like the pavement changes color a little bit. I'm going to stay in fourth gear, avoid the curb to the inside, but you can exit out and get your tires up onto the stripping here. And then you've got a little bit of a flat out section. I'm going to rewind it a little bit, go through that whole section kind of its full speed, because I know there was a lot to unpack there. Go back to the exit of the carousel. All right. Just going to let it play through full speed. Flat out, flat out, flat out. Braking marker is going to be that rumble strip on the right, and I'm going to drop it down to fourth gear. Rumble strip here. Avoid the curb, fourth gear, fourth gear, fourth gear. Into the rumble as you're headed up the hill, fourth gear. Fifth gear, turn in where that red wall is. You're going to kind of feather in and out. I drop it down to fourth gear. Still fourth. Try and avoid that curb to the inside there. All right, now we're back to where we were. Fifth gear, flat out through here. Kind of a sketchy section here, so this is a little bit of a jump. You are going to get some air time. A little bit before you're going to hit that crest or where the jump is, brake completely out of the throttle, downshift to fourth. And I guess I downshift. Probably the downshift is waiting until after you land. but still braking here. And then I'm back in the throttle. This section is pretty tricky, so I'm in fourth gear here. Where this is tricky is you're gonna land. It's sketchy until you're comfortable with it, but you gotta avoid this curb to the inside here because it's gonna push you wide left, and it's gonna be another one where you're gonna get pushed into the dirt and the car is gonna hook. But you need to get as close to this as possible because you want to be to the right, which is going to open up the line for the left-hander after it. It's going to have a little bit of a lift. I've seen people flat out it, but for most people, you want to do a little bit of a lift, um, and then you're just going to carry a lot of speed. Up to fifth gear. This is going to take you some time to get used to, but this section after that can be done flat out. Lift out of the throttle where you feel you need to, but if you hit a good line and make nice wide turns, you're able to carry just flat out through here. You'll see I breathe the throttle here and there. Go up to sixth gear. This is another turn that I got too greedy in an NEC race and missed my braking marker a little bit, missed the apex, and I ran wide into the dirt, hooked it, hit the outside wall, and caused a bit of damage. My markers I use here, this red wall and this little black pylon here, realistically, the kind of in between the two is where I'm going to brake. I'm going to drop it down to fifth gear. Carry a lot of speed here. You got to absolutely avoid this curve to the inside, though. Then you want to get to the right, and then I'm going to drop another gear down to fourth, and you want to, again, avoid the curve to the inside, but you're going to exit out nice and wide. You're going to carry a lot of speed. I'm going to leave it in fourth gear through here. Fourth gear, fourth gear. I'm going to go up to fifth here. A little bit before the end of this rumble strip here, so call it like here-ish. I'm going to do really light braking, completely out of the throttle, get the car kind of rotated and turned, and then I'm going to be back into the throttle, pretty much full throttle. You're going to feather it maybe a little bit. Full throttle at this point, and I'm going to exit out nice and wide. This is the long straightaway. You'll use sixth gear here. Speed this up and lose some time. All right. As we're headed down the hill now. Flat out, flat out. So I lift at the start of this curb to the right. I'll lift and let it coast through here. Avoid that curbing though. And then at the end of the rumble strip where this dark section of asphalt is, I'm going to do my braking. Completely out of throttle braking. I'm going to end up going down to third gear. You can cut across this little section here. Obviously, don't hit this wall to the inside. And then you're to the end of the straightaway. And that is a lap. I know this is a long video, 33 minutes, but there's a lot to learn with this track. If you have any questions, definitely ask them. I will do my best to answer them. Talk to you later. Bye.